Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Education for Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025. I would like to start out by reminding everyone that this meeting will be live streamed. As per policy number 7, regular and special meetings of the board may be streamed live, archived, and accessed online. The board reserves at its sole discretion via motion at any meeting the right to not stream live or archive a meeting or a portion of a meeting. Further, the board reserves the right to edit any recorded portion of a meeting. I would like to call to order the regular meeting of the Langley Board of Education at 7:00 p.m. I would like to first acknowledge that the Langley School District is located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsqui, Kwantlen, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. We gather here tonight in an understanding of the importance of Yayisto, Skekiyais working together, and not Samat, let Samat, uniting ourselves with one mind, one heart, to ensure that we support and inspire all learners to reach their full potential. We'd like to welcome some of our trustees and staff and partner groups here this evening. First of all, from the Board of Education, we have on my far left Trustee Fox, and then Trustee Rye. And then on my far right, we have Trustee Ward and Trustee Dickinson and Vice Chair Wilson. To my left, Secretary Treasurer Brian Isley. To my right, Superintendent Mal Gill. We also have Deputy Superintendent Woody Bradford here, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Langeberry, Assistant Superintendent Marcello Moino, Assistant Secretary Treasurer Shind Chand, Director of Communications Joanna Abshire, Executive Assistant Claire Pereira, Technical Support Specialist 3 Vincent Montefrio, Director of Human Resources Erin Yiesinger, Chief Information and Technology Officer Matt Williams, Director of Instruction Kendra Simonetto, Technical Support Specialist 2 Jeff Fresco, QP 1851 Vice President Alva Morrison, DPAC Vice President 2 Tisha Kraft, LPVPA President Paul Trattle, VP 1260, QP 1260 Tyrone Kennedy, LTA President Taylor Foteau, and LTA Vice President Kim Miller. And I hope I haven't forgotten anybody, did I? Oh, and I forgot Jen Piper from DPAC, my apologies. So starting out the meeting, I'd like to just read a little something with regards to National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. September is a month of many beginnings for students throughout schools in Langley School District. For Indigenous families and students, this time of year can be one of remembering and sadness. 13 years ago, the Orange Shirt Day movement began after Phyllis Webstad shared her story with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission about her 300 sleeps at residential school. Orange Shirt Day is in recognition of those children who did not return home from residential schools and is directly tied to Phyllis's story. The Board of Education and district leadership team are wearing orange shirts this evening in recognition of the importance of Orange Shirt Day and for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. 2025 marks the 10th anniversary of the TRC Calls to Action, and we encourage everyone to find out more about the TRC Calls to Action and how to be involved. There are 94 calls to action, and the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September the 30th is fulfilling action number 80. There are still many more to be fulfilled, including those pertaining to education. Orange Shirt Day and Every Child Matters are now synonymous with promoting reconciliation beyond the borders of British Columbia. Chief Fred Robin, Esket Emk, First Nation, spoke at the TRC event on May 17, 2013, and said, "Every child matters. It's the next generation that we have to start teaching." Fred's vision is being carried out as this year's graduating class will be the first group of students that will graduate having experienced Orange Shirt Day observances through their K-12 education journey. Wearing orange shirts is only part of the work in the Langley School District. It symbolizes the commitment that the Board of Education and School District has to ensure that every child matters, and is embedded in the commitment to inspire all learners to reach their full potential and create a positive legacy for the future. Next, we have a report from in camera, and I would like to pass over to Vice Chair Wilson.
Great. At tonight's in-camera, the board discussed property and personnel. And at the special in-camera meeting on June 23rd, 2025, the items discussed pertain to personnel. At the in-camera meeting on September 2nd, 2025, the items discussed pertain to personnel, property, and legal. Thanks.
Thank you. Trustees, you have before you the consent agenda. Could I please have a mover that the Board of Education adopts the consent agenda items as provided? Moved by Trustee Ward, seconded by Trustee Rye. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next, we have consideration of the agenda. We have had an addition to the agenda. Trustee Fox submitted a notice of motion to trustees. So we will add that to 10 new business. So could I please have a mover that the agenda as amended be approved? Moved by Trustee Fox, seconded by Trustee Ward. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Next on our agenda is delegations. And I'm going to welcome up first Blake from Venachuk Farms, who will be presenting. And just a reminder that this doesn't provide an opportunity for discussion, but please come up and welcome.
Good evening. Thank you very much for inviting me down to the board meeting tonight. I appreciate and I respect everybody's time who's here. My goal tonight is to be able to educate everybody here about what we do in the community and specifically what we do in the Langley School District, because we have had such a great influence inside the Langley School District for many years now. And I just feel like this is a perfect opportunity for me to be able to show the board the respect that it deserves by allowing you to be able to understand exactly what we do. About 10 years ago, I started a program in the Langley School District called the Innovative Farming Techniques Program. This is where we introduce children to hydroponic or residential hydroponic towers. These were the Foodie towers and the Zipro systems. I believe that they're still available for schools to be able to bring into schools today, because I do see them at Douglas Park Elementary School and Langley Meadows when we are there. The reason why that I started this program, because I realized working with developers that there's not a lot of developers that want to be able to have community garden space in their new developments, because people have great ambitions in the springtime. And then by fall, the rodents have moved in, people don't care anymore, and there's no space and opportunity for children to be able to develop garden space to be able to work with their parents at home. So the genesis of that is what does gardening look like, in 5 or 10 years from now? And that is going to be residential hydroponic farming, where we bring it indoors and it's not outside. So I wanted to be able to familiarize students with hydroponic farming, and it wasn't just an outside concept. Venachuk Farms and the AgriKids Society vastly supports BGC Langley Club. We do this financially, and we do this with fresh produce. We work extensively with the Raphaels in the same capacity. For the last 10 years, we've been hosting a community Christmas dinner for up to 350 families. They get a full sit-down traditional family Christmas dinner, as well as an entire breakfast kit to be able to take home to be able to make a traditional breakfast for their family on Christmas Day. This year will be the 10th year we've been doing that. We consult with multiple schools like Parkside, Nickelmackle, and Douglas Park, either on their gardens or their pollinator gardens, to be able to enhance their gardening space at their schools. We do direct produce donations to PACs like North Otter and Glenwood, so that they can raise money to be able to accumulate assets like new playground spaces. When we're in schools, last year we were in 13 different elementary schools in the Langley School District, and when we're in schools, we do directly support them financially when we're there on a monthly basis. We do give those funds directly to the principals to be able to delegate out to families that they see fit for privacy and confidentiality reasons. We support the Langley School District Foundation by sponsoring holes at the golf tournament. We are also volunteer time at the IDEA Summit. And this year is our inaugural program with White Cliff School. We've developed an agricultural program where there's been 4 students down at the farm working all summer long and continued into the school year to be able to develop skills that they can take later on in life. Our program that we run in school comes with 4 worksheets that we hand out to the kids at the end of our 20-minute highly interactive digital seminars. I know it's really hard to explain how interactive our 20-minute seminars are with children, and it's one of those things you have to be there to be able to see it. And if anybody has ever had a chance to be able to see what we do when we're in schools, when I tell you that the walls are falling off every 20 minutes that we're there the entire day, I know it's hard to believe because usually presentators can't do that, especially with elementary school students, but it is an absolute blast. At the end is, like I said, we give them these 4 sheets. It's just a little bit of a recap. We're very graphic heavy because we realize that most of our demographic being K-7 can't read. They may be also coming from an ESL family, so we want it to be very graphic heavy and easily digestible for families. Being in K-7, we also realize too that the amount of ways that they can interact with the vegetables that we're talking about, the produce that we're talking about, the better. This is the reason why that we give them the sheets. We have the seminars and we have these coloring sheets that they can dress up in any fun way that they can. We also have an interactive cooking show called Cook with Ava. This is available on YouTube. We have child-friendly recipes to be able to encourage children to get back into the kitchen, building memories with their families. As well as building those skills inside the kitchen, because we do realize that there's more kids that are lacking fundamental skills of being able to know how to cook, how to be able to put ingredients together, and having the confidence to be able to do that at home if mom and dad or grandma and grandpa aren't at home. As you can see by the ingredients on this list, it's only 3 basic ingredients, something very simple, a cucumber salad, to something that they can easily make at home for themselves as a snack. This is an experience sheet. This is the 4th one in the series. We encourage children to be able to bring these back every month that we go to a school, because we're in schools once a month when we're running our program, and we'll give away stickers and little foam soccer balls, or at the end of the year in June, for every child who brings back one of these sheets, they get an ice cream sandwich, because we have a big ice cream sandwich party at every school that we're at. We bring thousands of ice cream sandwiches to Langley schools. Don't worry, every child does get an ice cream sandwich. If they are lactose intolerant, we do bring candy bags, and if they're gluten-free, we give them candy bags as well. If we're at a school where they're not allowed to be able to issue food to students, we do bring toys for them so that every student does feel included, because we never want any child to feel excluded. I have 4 kids. I know what happens when one feels excluded, and we never want that to happen in school. Thank you to the Langley School District and the Abbotsford School District. At the end of 2024-2025 school year, there's over 5,000 kids in our program. This is, again, the main reason why that I wanted to come here today. So I just feel that the program is at a point now where to show you guys the proper respect that you guys deserve, that I be here tonight, so you guys have a vast understanding of what we do. Also, when we're in school too, on top of the seminars and these sheets, we give a full retail size portion to every family for free of every produce item that we talk about. So if we're talking about cucumbers, we'll do 3 long English cucumbers. If we do potatoes, we'll do a 5-pound bag of potatoes. Sometimes we talk about 2 different food items, so we'll bring a 5-pound bag of potatoes and a 3-pound bag of apples, so that families have some resources at home to be able to utilize. And then every single produce item that we talk about or that we give to children, they all come with these 4 sheets. So at the end of the year, that they do have a proxy recipe book that they can take home and that they have to be able to use during the summer. We open up our farm to community groups like the Raphael House. They run several of their programs at our farm over the summer. The same with BGC Langley Club. They run summer programs and other programs at our farm. The reason why that we want to form partnerships like this, not only to be able to help other community groups, because a big part of our on the farm education when it comes to farming, I always tell kids, whether you're in kindergarten or you're in grade 7, I know you know a peach is healthy and a pop is not. I just want you to be immersed in agriculture. I want you to be on the farm. I want you to be able to interact with the chickens. I want you to see the bees. I want you to look out into the field. I want you to see apples growing from a tree, because we believe in passive education. Like, kids don't need to be told, they just need to be able to experience it. So we want them to be in the environment to be able to absorb that. With the Raphael House this year, over the course of the summer, we piloted a program where we have our living grocery store. So this is a hybrid version of a U-Pick farm, except for it comes at no cost to the members of the Raphael House. They could come down to the farm and they could pick any produce that we have on our farm and be able to take it home for free. With it, one stipulation is that they only pick and take as much as what they need for their family for a week. And they're more than welcome to come back week after week. So every week we hosted between 150 and 200 people from the Raphael House to be able to exercise our living grocery store. The reason why we came up with the living grocery store is because we do realize that there's a lot of children within inside the Langley School District and other school districts who take field trips now to grocery stores. Oh, am I coming to the going on? Sorry. Okay. And so with kids going to the grocery stores for field trips, I was like, how can we make this a lot more fun and exciting besides going to Save on Foods for, not to pick on Save on Foods, but to go to a grocery store for a field trip. Just a lot more fun if you can also jump on a trampoline or play soccer while you're there down at the farm as well. We are starting a grocery store model down there that I don't want to disclose at this point in time, but it will be to the benefit of the Raphael House and their members. Knowing where we're at, I'm just going to slowly start to wrap things up here because obviously you guys could probably tell by now I could stand up here and talk for your entire board meeting, and trust me, you probably don't want me to do that. I'd just like to invite any of the board members, if you guys ever happen to be, once our program is back up and running for this school year, to be able to come down and just check out and just to see what we do. Because again, I know it's hard to believe that we can get all of these kids excited as what they are. But trust me, it'll be a lot of fun for you to be able to come down. And I just want you guys to also know that under Michael Morgan, specifically more Clint Jackson in 2023, 2024, Michael Carlisle in 2024, 2025, and now this year in 2025, 2026, it'll be Jeremy Linden. We just have established those relationships already. I'm not asking the board for anything here tonight. It's strictly just an information session. And I want you guys to know that we are already in talks with those gentlemen, and they're well aware of our program. And I would like to end it, if I have the chance, this one principal. We have many reviews. I just chose this one randomly from a principal in the Fraser Valley, that the Agri Kids is an outstanding program that I would highly recommend to anyone that is thinking of signing up their school. They're highly organized before they arrived. Their presentation was super engaging with all of our students. They left us with lots of new knowledge about vegetables and how they are grown. At the end of the day, they provided each of our students with 2 bags of vegetables that they had learned about during the presentations. Our parents were super grateful to be receiving the produce, and our teachers raved about the presentation. I would highly recommend them be signing up for next year. This is just generically from a principal at some undisclosed school in the Fraser Valley. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate your time. I have 2 seconds left, and there's 10 minutes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Blake. Trustees, do you have any questions? Any? Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. No.
Excuse me, thanks, Chair. You never told us where the farm is. I've seen the sign, but I can't remember where the sign is.
Yeah, 2206 164th Ave. I just realized this is being publicly broadcast to you. But yeah, that's where our farm is. We have big signs and flags outside. So anybody who's ever driven down 64, so if you were going from here north on 216th, you took a right heading east on 64th. We'd be on the north hand side of the road about a mile down.
Okay, now I figured it out. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
No problem. And again, to any board member that's wanting to be able to come down to the farm and get a little bit more of an interactive view of it, feel free to let me know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And just thanks so much for being here and for all the work that you've done in our schools. And I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to meet you outside of Douglas Park Elementary, I believe it was. And so, was able to chat and see all the great stuff that you're doing in our schools. And so thank you for all of your hard work.
Hey, have a wonderful night.
You as well. All right, next on our agenda at 6.2, we have a delegation from Evangel. I hope I said your name correctly. Biasan? Okay, thank you. From Blacklock Elementary regarding the Violet program. Welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Evangel Biasan, and I'm a resident of the Blacklock neighborhood, and I have a son attending HD Stafford Middle School. and 2 sons attending Blacklock Fine Arts Elementary School. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak with you today about the Blacklock Violin Program. Our family moved into the neighborhood in 2021, and we were delighted to learn that Blacklock has a violin program. We jumped at the chance to enroll our sons into the program, as we have never heard of such a program in a public school. Our eldest was able to integrate into the program in grade 3, and our middle son started when he was in kindergarten. This program had such a positive impact on our kids. Both of them have continued their violin journey, and my eldest joining the Surrey Youth Orchestra. And we are not alone in our experience. For the past 10 years, this program has left a positive impact on many kids and their families, kickstarting many individuals' musical journey. However, given its successes over the past decade, we were saddened to learn over the summer the program was to be canceled. This program was done in partnership with the Langley Community Music School, and a big shout out to one of the instructors there, Miss Andrea, for her commitment to the program. In this partnership, Blacklock does not pay for the instruction, as this is considered to be a music outreach program. For a very conservative 30 to 45 minutes per week and a very reasonable annual registration fee, students are given high-tier violin instruction. The return on investment is incredible. If the board allows, I would like to showcase a brief 3.5-minute video highlighting the talent arising from Blacklock Fine Arts Elementary School.
It's gonna be a good, good day, good, good day. Hey!
Thank you. I'm just want to say that just full disclosure. I'm a little biased because my son is in that video, but I'm just so impressed because that video was an original composition. The kids wrote that song, and they made the video, with of course with the assistance of the teachers. But it's just so impressive what can be done, right? And I would like to add that the violin program is part of Blacklock's identity, and it's one of its crown jewels. It's such a wholesome program worthy of saving. Especially in today's climate of economic uncertainty, kids now more than ever need access to affordable, high-level music instruction. Music and the arts, in general, is a powerful vehicle for personal growth, especially for students. In speaking with school administrators, it was communicated that a barrier to the continuation of the program is due in part to contractual obligations. I, along with many parents, are hopeful the program can be restored and that stakeholders can come together to come up with creative solutions, including potential amendments to policies and bylaws, alternative scheduling options, or arrangements for additional staffing resources. I would like to conclude my remarks by appealing to this board for support of the Blacklock Violin Program. This program is a valuable asset to our community, and that it should not only be saved, but should be replicated in other schools. I know this board's priorities lie with the students of Langley, and this next batch of students should be given the opportunity to participate in such a wonderful program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Trustees, do you have any questions? Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for being here. And I can see how much this program means to you and the video. That was great to see. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. And amazing that they wrote that themselves. That's even more impressive. Thank you. Okay. All right. We are moving along on our agenda, and feel free. You don't have to stay for the whole meeting if you don't want to. Don't feel it. It's all good if you're welcome to, but okay. Thanks for being here. All right, moving along to 7 superintendent's reports. I am going to pass this over to you, Superintendent Gill.
Thank you, Chair Ashtown. It is my delight this evening to reintroduce the strategic plan to our community. Again, just reminding folks that the strategic plan is in its 3rd year already. And this evening, I'm going to begin the presentation, and then Assistant Superintendent Molino will join me as partway through, just to highlight the work the assistant superintendents are doing to come alongside the school. In your package this evening, and I believe for our partners as well, is the updated strategic plan, year 3 of 4. We're looking forward to next year revitalizing the plan and going back to the community and having a new consultation for the next 4 years. Excited that, again, trustees, this is the work that we do every day around ensuring all of our students meet with success. And the work is done through the actions in the strategic plan. And again, the strategic plan sits over top, and you'll hear a little bit more about our framework for enhancing student learning after this presentation, which is our year-to-year plan. Just reminding trustees that our strategic plan has 3 domains: the educational opportunities, community partners, and operational opportunities. I won't touch on the last, only because, again, we're going to look at the FESL, the framework, in a little different light this year. We're going to have our operations team come up and talk a little bit about how they're contributing to the framework. And again, I think it's an exciting opportunity because there aren't too many districts around the province that are doing this work. Deputy Superintendent is laughing because it's probably his opening for his presentation, but we'll keep going. As far as the educational opportunities go, again, divided into human and social, careers, intellectual, early learning, and assessment are the areas of work that we're doing with our school leaders and our staffs, ensuring that we're hitting excellence in those areas. Always through the work that we're doing around ensoling our schools in the 3-block model, ensuring that we have the systems and structures in place, we have instructional practices that are sound, and then ensuring that the schools that students are coming to and staff are coming to are socially and emotionally well for all. One of the things that we've tried to do is to remain consistent in the work we've done. Since the plan's been in place in 2022, you'll notice that we've had increases in success rates for all of our learners. We continue to make those make the inroads for all of our students, but certainly there's work to be done, and that's where the work comes in from the strategic plan and from the festival year-to-year plan. Our work is data informed. Again, looking to do a better job of that this year, as it is part of the work we're doing in our festival, ensuring that our schools are getting the information they need in a timely way as they generate information, and we of course get information from our district assessments. Ensure we create a story about each student, and that story isn't just the data; it's also the narrative that we have of every student. And I think the one thing that always warms my heart is as we go into schools, our principals, vice principals, teachers, SEAs all know all of our students by name. They know their stories. And getting to know the student's story is an important part of ensuring that that student's feeling comfortable in the place that they're coming to school every day. We maintain our goals, ensuring that those goals are reachable in each of our areas. And again, trying to focus in our priority learners, making sure our actions are specific to the needs of our students. And again, that we have performance indicators to come back every single year to determine whether or not we're reaching our goals. And again, I've already talked about this, but maintaining an alignment with our festival as well. What we've tried to do over the last few years to ensure that we maintain a positive direction is to ensure that we've had three. In the past, we've had four, but I'll talk a little bit about our, Assistant Superintendent Molino will talk about that third goal, how we've kind of put 3 and 4 together in the past, over the past few months. But these 3 goals are the ones that kind of guide the work that we do every single day. Having effective professional learning communities, what we believe is the work can be done better together than it can be done alone. The work is complicated, it can be difficult, but certainly as a collective, administrators, teachers, SEAs, and all youth care workers, Aboriginal support workers, all staff in schools are doing what they can to come together to wrap around support for our students. And by wrapping around support, we're creating a situation in our schools where, again, that we're trying to impact our students in a positive way, creating a place in their schools where they're feeling safe through that second goal around trauma-informed practice in our schools. And the last item, the one that we're excited about this year, the area that we're going to focus in on is really improving and supporting instruction in schools around university and design instruction. And for the first year this year, during our SOUPS meeting, we're actually inviting some teachers to our SOUPS meeting to get things kicked off for UDL and again, get the learning done together, because we've hit it at the systems level. We want to now bring it alive at the school level. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Assistant Superintendent Molino.
Thank you, Superintendent Gill. In looking at the 3 learning intentions, I think one theme that really stands out is that really it's less about the system and more about the individual student. And each of these learning intentions really is about focusing in on the needs and wants of each student. I believe that we will be on our way and working towards these when we really do honor each student as a unique individual, each with, again, diverse needs and wants. And then when we as a system and the adults in the system are able to respond to those unique needs and wants. The first learning intention is connected to effective professional learning communities. 2 big ideas here are, first, the research is very clear that when professionals collaborate, the impact on students is quite profound. The second piece is while collaboration matters and is important, it's focused collaboration. And in this case, focusing on the 4 critical questions that make all the difference, because now all the conversations are about students and student learning. Over the last few years, we've worked very much to ensure that every single school in the district has a professional learning community, one where educators come together, collaborate in small groups, and again, focus in on instruction, assessment, and individual student needs. Going forward this year, one of the important pieces we'll be looking at again is how do these professional learning communities use data to inform actions. When it comes to assessment, for example, understanding questions 3 and 4, what do we do when students are learning and what do we do when they're not learning? Because the next most important step then is how do we as the adults respond to meet the needs of individual students? The second learning intention, trauma, relates to trauma-informed practice. And again, you'll see various actions that are happening at the school level and in support at the district level. These very much are continuation of projects that have occurred now for at least 1 year, sometimes 2 or 3. In terms of themes or big ideas that are part of all of these different projects, first and foremost, it's about finding and supporting student strengths. Also, it's about understanding that every learner has a story and that we as the adults need to ensure that we're listening to those stories, because when we do listen, actually listen, then we will be able to respond to student wants, student needs, and again, that makes all the difference when it comes to student engagement and student achievement. The third learning intention, as Superintendent Gill mentioned, is actually a combination of last year's number 3 and number 4. Number 3, focusing on teaching and learning framework, and number 4, just introducing the idea of universal design for learning and UDL. This year, after intensive work by various departments at the district level, where coming up with a common definition to UDL and making sure that that common definition was understood across district staff, as well as planting some of those seeds throughout the district, for example, having pilot schools starting to work on this, and just looking at what does it look like to work with staff to develop universal design for learning thinking. This year, one of the big goals is taking it now a step further, working with administration and actually having administration bring this and working with staff. Now, I think it's incredibly important to acknowledge that universal design for learning already exists in the district. It exists throughout the district in classrooms and schools. Our work now is to ensure that it exists in every classroom and every student benefits from, again, the very individualized process of planning and ensuring that students then are engaged. As Superintendent Gill noted when it came to these numbers, the data shows we are on the right track. And it shows that, again, we still have work to do if we are going to impact every learner. And that's where, again, these 3 learning intentions really do focus on every learner. Because we know that when an entire system works together in alignment, we have students who are the ultimate beneficiaries. And I think the key is not some, not most, but all students, every single student. And we don't find success until we get there. So Superintendent Gill, if you'd like to close.
Yeah, and this has been the theme for us for the last 3 or 4 years around Every Child Matters. And in different ways, it's been the theme for the whole district for the last 7 or 8 years, as I've been lucky enough to be a part of the senior team. And working towards the goal of 100% of our students being successful is a lofty goal, but we continue to try and reach that goal because every life is important, and our job is to make sure that we change the life chances of every one of our students so that they can meet with success and they have a life, they have a plan for the future. It's the work that we do, it's the hard work that we do, but we don't do it alone. We do it together with our partners, with our leaders in our schools, and collectively as a group and as trustees through the strategic plan. And I just want to highlight again that strategic plan is that 4-year plan that we talked about, and we come back to every single year. But the plan itself, the year-to-year plan around the framework of education, sits just underneath it really focusing in and targeting the actions so that we can get to that place where every single child is successful.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions? Vice Chair Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not sure who to direct this at, but I noticed in the HR section, we have my favorite topic, the Guarding Minds survey, the employee satisfaction survey. And so have we rolled that out for this year? This is the year, right?
Yeah, so let's take that.
This is the year.
This is
So as early as October, we'll begin the process. We haven't figured out exactly the timeline around what we're going to do. We're going to bring it to our next superintendent's meeting just to engage our administrators in the conversation about points of contact for staff and engaging in the process. So getting feedback from them, but it will begin. The process will begin with our administrators in October just to gather information from them, and then we will deliver the survey at some point in October to all staff.
great. I think that we really need to be mindful, and I know we talk about it a lot, but that having a healthy staff, the impact that has on our students is amazing. So I can't wait to see the results, and I hope we improve over these listed results from last time. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other trustees have any questions? Okay, seeing no other questions, could I please have a mover that the Board of Education receives the update on the strategic plan 2023-2026 for information as presented? Trustee Dickinson, do I have a seconder? Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, moving along to 7.2, Framework for Enhancing Student Learning. I will pass this back to you, Superintendent Gill.
Deputy Superintendent will be introducing this topic and be introducing some of the presenters from our operations side that will be sharing the work that they're doing to ensure that every student is successful.
Bill. I get the pleasure of sharing with trustees tonight the work we've been doing around the Framework for Enhancing Student Learning. I'm joined in the presentation with Chief Information Officer Matt, Information Officer and Technology Officer Matt Williams, Aaron Geisinger, our Director of Human Resources, and Joe Abishire, our Director of Communications. Along with the presenters, we also have our Director of Instruction, Kendra Simonetto, Assistant Superintendent Lisa Lanchbury, and Assistant Superintendent Marcella Molino. So if you're grabbing the theme, this is a team effort in terms of the work we do around the Framework for Enhancing Student Learning. I'll ground you in the teachings of Chief Marilyn Gabriel from Kwantlen First Nations. This really guides the work we do, and again, from her teachings, we continue to learn and understand and try and do our best to ensure that we are going on a journey that captures the teachings and the learnings that we go forth with. So the role of our elders is to look for the gifts in our children and then work to develop and nurture the gifts so they can become our artists, nurse, singers, and teachers. So within that knowledge, hold near and dear to your heart the development and nurture of the gifts. And the Framework for Enhancing Student Learning is a journey about developing and nurturing those gifts. It's grounded in place. So when we think about the Framework for Enhancing Student Learning, I just want to start by acknowledging as we continue to develop and nurture the gifts of all our learners to reach their full potential, that we do so in the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Matsui, Kwantlen, Katzie, and Samoa First Nations. So again, direction of the journey and the importance of place in the journey allows the framework to take shape as we continue the work we do to support each one of our students in a meaningful and caring and nurturing way. When we think about the framework, it is a learning journey, focusing on the journey from the systems level. The Framework for Enhancing Student Learning through the Ministry of Education is a one-year snapshot of the roadmap we have as a district that is linked to the system journey that Superintendent Gill and Assistant Superintendent Marcella Molino just presented around the strategic plan. It is then linked to the action plans for learning in each one of our our schools, along with professional growth plans, down to the student's own journey in terms of their success within our schools. The balance between being unified and innovative sits between all these journeys. And what's grounded in the framework for enhancing student learning, along with these other plans, is the importance of learning. And as we went through the consultation process and we think about the first people's principles of learning, that gives us this understanding and enhancement of this journey that we go on together. We can think about these in ways through the consultation that really taught us in terms of the work we're doing. Learning involves patience and time. Hearing through the consultation, through partner groups and rights holders and student voice, we heard that everyone's journey is a little bit different. And the pace of that journey has to be monitored very carefully, recognizing that we don't all learn at the same rate and we don't go on the journey at the same rate and pace. So being aware of that as we go on this journey through the framework is really, really important. Learning involves recognizing the consequences of one's action. An example of this would be a skill around self-regulation. We cannot assume that students know how to self-regulate. So we can't assume that they know what the consequences of those actions are unless we go through a process of actually teaching people how to self-regulate. And when I say self-regulate, I mean all learners within the district, all learners in terms of what we do to ensure that they're going to be successful in the work they do within our classrooms, our schools, and across the system. And then finally, learning is embedded in memory, history, and story. Again, going to all those groups that we consulted with, the theme that came out was communication and the importance of listening to memory, history, and story, and taking the time to be thoughtful about the conversations we have in our classrooms, in our school, across the system, about what we listen to each and every day and what we hear and how we act on those experiences. One student said in the consultation that we had with them, which I thought was a very thoughtful comment, they said, you know, in my experiences in school, the educators that would circulate in a classroom or support me in the hallways or in school that would ask me how I am doing, it wasn't about the work that was in front of me, it was about my story. And so thinking about that, how does that drive the direction we have in the framework for enhancing student learning and the journey we go on? All trustees know that the direction we have is through enrolling our schools, because at the heart of that, every child matters. And the 3-block model has been a key driver for us, and Superintendent Gill just spoke to it, around the work that we're doing to show improvements, and enrolling our schools is really enhancing that journey that we go on. We know that when the line comes up there, that's exactly where enrolling our schools became part of the work we do in our schools. Our support staff, our teachers, our principals and vice principals, our educators across the system have worked tirelessly to look through that 3-block model, and it's showing improvements in terms of what we're doing for student success. And as Superintendent Gill said, there is still areas of improvement that we need to focus on. So when you think about developing and nurturing those gifts in each one of our students, we are still not there with some of our students. We still haven't created a journey for them that doesn't have a lot of bumps along the road. We need to be able to continue to try and smooth the road out for them to be successful. 6-year, same sort of progress in terms of the work we're doing, moving in the right direction. And their framework, again, along with the strategic plan and the other document I've talked about, are providing the guide for this to be successful in our transition rates. So our framework for enhancing student learning is set up into 3 pathways. The important part here is that when we think about our learners, these pathways are weaved together. And when we think about their gifts and their strengths, each one of them are going to accelerate or be supported, each one of these, in a way that's going to enhance their experiences. Intellectual development, career development, and human social development. Trustees should know that there are teams working in the background in each one of these areas that are carrying the load of this work to ensure that they are developed well throughout the system year to year. From our assistant superintendents to our directors, to our district principals, we work collectively at the systems level to elevate each one of these areas in our journey so that we can support the individual child in their journey in terms of their own strengths and their own gifts. So the framework for enhancing student learning, trustees will know when we present these each year to you, we really come with one specific lens most of the time. And the lens is through 3 different areas, the intellectual development, career development, and human and social development. The goals through consultation and the work we've done looking at data look this way this year in terms of the work we're doing around intellectual development, specifically looking at proficiency in literacy and numeracy. When we think about human and social development, self-regulation, well-being, and problem-solving skills. And then finally, career development, understanding personal strengths and skills. So again, if you think about those three principles of learning, and if you apply those, and obviously they weave in between each one of these, when you think about proficiency in literacy and numeracy, learning takes patience and time. Not everyone is going to learn at the same rate in literacy and numeracy. When we think about the consequences of one's actions, you think about human and social development, self-regulation is sitting right there. And then finally, when you think about learning is embedded in memory, history, and story, when we think about career development, it is about the individual understanding their own story, understanding their own strengths and gifts, and choosing pathways that match those strengths and gifts so they can open doors of hope and opportunity for themselves. So trustees would know that the lens we look through educationally, we share lots of information around acronyms like PLCs, UDL, RTI, and those lenses are really, really important in the work we do at education. And that clarification of that language aligning with the other side of the organization, which sometimes maybe we don't actually highlight as much as we should, but that other side of the organization uplifts the work we do in our classrooms or in our schools and across our systems. The operations side is a key lens in what we do, because we recognize if we look at this image and we think about it began, as educators, when we think about that classroom teacher and we think about that development of the mind, we know that the development of the mind goes much deeper than that. It's actually much deeper because there's a story behind each one of our students that is connected to their heart. And the work we do is that connection to the heart and mind and the story that we create. And we recognize one individual in the complexities in our classroom, the volume of our classrooms, and the diversity that we celebrate in our classrooms can't do this work by themselves. It has to be a team effort of people wrapping around that classroom teacher to be successful for all those students to walk through our schools with hope and dignity and pride in terms of who they are and the stories that they have. It has to be a collective effort. So when we present the framework for enhancing student learning, we present it from two different lenses, an educational side and an operations side. The operations side has grown immensely over the last few years in terms of understanding what's going on in the educational side. I can't speak enough about the 5 different departments and the leaders in each one of those departments and the teams that have dug into this work. They have dug into it because they wanted to learn and they wanted to grow in terms of what they were doing to develop their side of what they were doing in the operations each and every day to support what's happening in our classrooms. And the idea around that is the essential impact they have on student success. Each department seeing themselves being able to support priority learners, Indigenous students, children, youth, and care, and students with diverse abilities, understanding what trauma-informed practice looks like, understanding what PLCs look like, understanding what RTI and UDL looks like in our classrooms, sitting there and taking that information in and saying, how do we actually support that work that happens in our classrooms? I'm proud of the work they've done and the leadership that they've shown to be able to develop 5 goals that really are educational goals that are driving the operation side. The first goal, you look at the top, that's our finance department, streamlining financial systems to hit right into our schools to make impact. Creating safe, accessible, inclusive environments and services through our facilities and maintenance department. Enhancing recruitment, retention, and staff wellness and safety through human resources. Collaborate with district departments and identify and support the use of technology through IT. And then finally, develop communication and evidence through our communications department, the ongoing journey that we have and that we're working towards as we develop the framework for enhancing student learning. And with that, I want to showcase to you today in terms of the work we're doing, want to be able to celebrate and have some of our leaders share. Aaron Geisinger is going to share from the Human Resources Department in terms of the journey they've been on with the work they're doing. And then Matt Williams will share from the lens of IT in terms of the work they've been doing. And then finally, Joe will conclude with the work they've done through communications.
To start, before I show you how we make that connection in HR from the work we do directly to the learners in the system, we'll start with just what our vision statement is in the department. So to create a supportive and positive culture with employees to enhance both individual and collective influence on student achievement. So in our work, we don't have that direct impact every day. We're not working directly with the learners in the system, but we are supporting the system, the schools, and the people within that system. And so whether that's through things like recruitment and staffing, collaborating and identifying supports, efficiencies, training, supporting staff with their wellness through various supportive programs. All of that work in supporting the people in the system has an impact on those learners in the schools every day. So connecting this vision to the framework itself, our department got together to develop this goal. It's a goal that we wanted to showcase how we support those learners through our work. So the goal, enhancing recruitment, retention, and staff wellness and safety to build inclusive, culturally responsive, and trauma-informed learning environments that support the success of priority learners across the district. So in creating the actions to support this, we wanted to find actions that are measurable, intentional, and actions that will have a positive impact on learners as the actions are supporting the system. So just as an example, the first action, ensuring that priority learners in our schools receive full support through effective and proactive staffing. We were able to make some changes, particularly now in a time where districts are faced with many shortages. We were able to make changes that had a positive impact on the system, a positive impact on employees, and a positive impact on the learners. So modifying posting rounds in the spring, making sure that employees had earlier information with regards to where their assignments were in September, but also allowing us an earlier predictive time to prepare for recruitment that would still take place for September, and allowing us to plan for that. So normally recruitment would slow down over the summer, but we were able to make plans and adjustments and partner with the admin support team and other people in the district to help us maintain recruitment throughout the summer. Post-secondary partnerships we've developed with SFU, UBC, Western Washington, and also KPU and Stenberg for support staff, and building and leaning on those partnerships in terms of trying to establish ourselves as their employer of choice. We have seen practicum students requesting Langley as their placement. And then once those practicum students are here, we're building relationships and connecting with them with the hopes that they will select Langley as their employer once they've completed their practicum. And then we've also done some things like building team capacity. So recognizing the importance of recruitment, we have allocated one of our positions as a dedicated recruiter. So we have constant support for recruitment, somebody who's identifying the needs, working with partner groups, working with other departments in the district, and making sure that we're prioritizing our recruitment efforts where they need to be. And then the common thread you'd see through all of the actions would be items like support, collaboration, and communication. So wellness attendance support programs, so supporting employees with early intervention when issues arise. Healthy staff, healthy schools, continuing those initiatives throughout the school year to provide wellness initiatives for employees to support them with their wellness, both at the workplace but outside of the workplace. The recruitment and retention piece supports employee wellness as well. We know when there are shortages, it's added pressures for employees in the district. So trying to reduce and limit that. Employee safety and safety training and other training. So partnering with groups like learning support services, instructional support or instructional services, finding new innovative ways to make training accessible, more accessible for employees, giving them the tools that make them feel safe and confident in the work that they do. So things like Ukeru, Popard, and bringing some of that work in-house. The communication in terms of receiving feedback. So HR is present at superintendent's meetings, at networking meetings, making sure that we are available to receive feedback and input from administrators throughout the system, so we can identify where the needs are and what do we need, what can we address, who can we work with to address those concerns, but also collecting information and feedback from employees. So working on the Guarding Mind survey, which will go out in October, and collecting that information and feedback from employees to identify where their concerns are and what can we do to support the issues that they're bringing to us. And in terms of how this work is impacting the learners directly, reducing shortages when possible. So as I mentioned earlier, when there are shortages, it's added pressure on employees in the system. But the direct impact to students is that consistent student support in the buildings. Supporting learning and wellness for employees. That directly impacts students with better and more stable learning environments. Collecting feedback, whether it's from administrators, employees, allows us to make informed changes and make changes where they're needed, focus our efforts on where those changes are needed. And then collaboration, whether we're working with IT, finance, learning support services, instructional services, having that collaboration ensures that we're all providing sort of a cohesive approach to the support that we're putting in schools. That's it.
Woody likes to challenge me on slides sometimes. I'm here to share a story about some of the growth that's happened in the IT department over the last year when it comes to the FESL and how we've approached it. In 24-25, these were our goals. We had 2 goals and a few actions. What we found with these goals and actions as a team when we were implementing them last year, they were, you know, if you look at something like our action, increase response to tickets based on school and department, really they were enhancing services that we already provided, trying to just saying we'll do better at what we do for the most part. And what we found as a management team in IT is we weren't happy with the impact that was bringing to the system with the actions and the way that we had worded them. The last action in that list, you know, working with our team, our whole IT team, just to bring understanding of the FESL and what priority learners are, had, I think, the most impact within our department. And so we really took that and we built on that when we came over the last year. And what we did as a management team is we went away and we took a half a day and we came with our own IT vision. So empowering innovative change through mentorship, relationships, and collaborative technological ideas that engage our diverse learning community. So that's our vision. I'm really proud of our management team. They were able to come up with this vision collaboratively over a day. And part of that, can't get through a presentation without talking about cybersecurity, but we had our principles that really we leaned on as a department, as a team, cybersecurity and privacy, user experience, AI integration, increase the visibility of IT's role in learning. I think that is one of the key pieces for us when we're talking about the FESL, along with mentorship, whether that's internal within the IT department and some of the actions that we're putting in place internally, or collaboration and communication. It's how we work externally with other departments and other teams. So building on that, when we took our goals from 24-25 and really superpowered them to collaborate with district departments to identify and support priority learners using technology as our goal for 25-26. And improving on our actions from 24-25, we ensured that our new actions from 25-26 were achievable and measurable and had an impact aligned with our principles and our vision in IT, along with, you know, the district strategic plan and the rest of the FESL. And the way that we divided our actions up in IT is we have 4 divisions within the department. So we have our data analytics team, and their action is develop a report that identifies priority learners using parameters provided by district leadership. Build communication with schools so they know who their priority learners are. So we're building accessible reports for every school based off the data that we already collect today, so that schools know who their priority learners are and can easily identify the 5% of students that we're looking to help. Our next goal is for our project management team And they're working, or their goal or action, sorry, is collaborate with DBT, instructional services, and learning support services who already collect data to create data collection strategies that are streamlined, cohesive, and meaningful for measuring student success and identifying priority learners. So we have a lot of data within the school district. We talk about all the data that we have quite a bit, but ensuring that everyone that needs access to that data has the ability to have access to that data at all times. Our next action is work with departments to provide enhanced services to innovate device distribution strategies that will have maximum impact for priority learners, prioritizing the right devices and software to meet the student's specific needs. So that goal is, or that action is aligned with our infrastructure and technical support team, and they're working with learning support services and instructional services to make sure that the right devices are in the hands of kids when those kids need them. And then as an entire department, our last action aligns with the UDL goals of the school district, and that's to ensure that district IT staff, so everyone, has a solid understanding of the current district accessibility tools and how they're used for supporting students' varied needs. So in UDL, one of the pillars that we're actioning this year is accessibility tools. And so just ensuring that our team fully understands the work that's happening in instructional services and there's another voice that can help schools and teachers when we're working with our accessibility tools. So how are we implementing our actions? So every week it's on our manager staff meeting. Every division within the department talks about progress that they've made with their action. And then every month we talk about the progress on all of our actions that we have within the department. And then as operations group, we're meeting quarterly to talk about what we're doing in regards to the FESL and how we can work together to move all of our actions forward.
Thank you, Matt. I just want to give a little bit of background. As most probably know, in communications, we're a small team, but we try to get a lot done as far as sharing stories. In fact, that's probably my favorite part of the job. We've been doing that for a long time, but since we started the FESL journey and actually being part of the process of communicating the FESL, it started last August, and so lucky to be part of that and really taking what we do as far as storytelling and honing in on the different priorities of the FESL. That continued on in this last school year as well, and will continue on moving forward. And now we have our own goals and actions. And the main goal here is continuing to collaborate with schools and district departments to develop communication and evidence that outlines the actions supporting the goals of the FESL. And by evidence, I'm talking stories. That's really what I'm talking about. You heard all of this wealth of information from Aaron and Matt, and I'm going to visually show you what does that look like in schools. The actions, though, before I show you, the actions are broken down into two different, I guess, pillars of work. One is really celebrating our stories, collecting, sharing, and celebrating our stories, and then doing that both at the school level as well as at the district level, and documenting like the impact that we have on students and families as well. I think one of the themes I just want to touch on that both Aaron and Matt talked about, and even in communications, it's the collaboration, the working with departments. In communications, we do that a lot. I have the luxury of pretty much working with every department, and in the end, knowing lots of people in the district. I can't go to a Costco without seeing someone I know from the school district, because you get to build those relationships in this type of job. So very fortunate to continue this journey of collaboration, because that's how I see our department really promoting the FESL and ensuring that everyone has that understanding of ensuring every child matters, as well as honing in on how can we get the 5% to be successful. So my role in this, when Woody asked me to be a part of this, I was so excited because we're focusing on operations. I go to schools all the time, but probably just in the last recent years, we've started to show what is operations doing, um, in part helping students. We're always behind the scenes, but what does that look like? What is all the work that we do? What does that look like in schools? So if you were to go to any school today, you would see this exact video, because this video that I'm going to show you is a snapshot of what's happening in our school district. So again, few words is better. Pictures speak louder than words. So we're going to just go jump right into the video. Do I press it?
My name is John Hickey. I'm a very proud principal here at H.D. Stafford Middle School. This place is amazing. It's full of incredible kids and incredible staff and a wonderful culture of care and connection and belonging. What I want to share with you today is some of the work that goes on behind the scenes to make this school such an incredible place in all the departments at the district level, and also all the people behind the scenes to really help your kids thrive.
So we just looked at the needs of the school. I went to the admin here at HD Stafford and just said, hey, looking at your sports court, is this working for you, or would you rather see something more? And of course they gave me their ideas of what they wanted to see. And so in thinking of that, we went out to some vendors to say, hey, these are some of the ideas that the superintendent wants to see, and also the administrators, and we want it to be inclusive and accessible. And they came up with some ideas, different ideas, and this is what we ended up landing on.
Well, what's not to love about this space? Like, I mean, you look around, it's beautiful, it's new, it is the first, I believe, it's the first kind of sport court of its style in a public school in BC, which is a huge testament not only to the work that's been done by our operations department, but I think the biggest piece for me when I think about this space is I think about such a sense of pride for our kids. Right, like you walk into the school, you see this beautiful sport court, you see kids' smiling faces. They're running out of the school to get into it at recess and lunch. They're here after school. It's just been such a neat addition to our school and our school culture.
When we see them here using it and they're happy and it's fully used, obviously we make an impact that way, and it makes us really feel good about what we do.
IT's played a huge role in this school, and not only bringing devices to the school, making sure that we have the devices that we need to supply our students with some skills for the digital age. I mean, in the age of AI, students have to be able to not only have the devices, but be able to fiddle with them, be able to play with them, be able to work on them, understand the importance of critical thinking when we're on those things. And so in order to do that, though, you have to have the devices here in the school.
I feel really lucky. I've gotten to work with IT more closely over the last year and a half. On various projects, beginning with identifying children, youth in care and supporting them and their caregivers and their teams, their care teams. But then most recently in recycling district technology in order to distribute it out to families that are experiencing financial barriers for a variety of different reasons. And it's just been so effective and welcomed by so many of the youth and the families that we serve, helping access schooling, helping access community services, helping them feel safer, communication between different providers. There's just a variety of reasons, or exploring passion projects. Some kids who just haven't had those opportunities now can, because our IT department has figured out a way to create a process and procedure through our enhanced support team to distribute technology when it wasn't available.
We have an amazing staff here, like an incredible staff, and we've done a lot of work building the culture of team and building a culture of positivity and care and connection for kids. And one of the neatest things about our staff is we talk about how when kids come through our door, our teachers light up. They light up, and as a parent myself, seeing kids come in and our teachers light up when they walk through those doors, like, hi, how are you, and asking about the soccer games and asking about things that happened outside of school, the kids really feel like, whoa, you really care about what's going on in my life. And I think that's a huge thing But as you know, like there's a shortage of teachers around the province, around the country right now. So being able to not only have amazing teachers in our building, but being able to recruit teachers back and making sure that they want to stay in these buildings because there are so many opportunities out there for them is a lot of work. And that's where we have a tremendous support from our HR team, who, we're working all over the summer. They've done a ton of work, and we've been able to reap the benefits of a lot of their hard work. These practices that we need to try this, we need to get quality people into the system. And so that's HR's work, is to make sure that we are bringing these young, bright, enthusiastic teachers into the system, and then the kids are reaping the benefits. And for me, as a principal that has worked really, really hard to make sure that we're a building where everybody feels valued and everybody feels important and everybody feels heard and seen, getting the right people. We often talk about it's not a position, it's a person. And so the work of HR is to make sure that it's a person coming in. My name is John Hickey. I'm a very proud principal here at
I just want to close and I'll hand off to Woody that what you saw in that video, it's 5 minutes long. Took me a few hours to do, but the people in the video, the voices you heard, the stories they shared, Aaron's team, Matt's team, and Tristan Schaffler are in facilities and maintenance, and his team, they make these videos so easy to do. They truly, genuinely, like I just ask questions and that comes out of their mouths. They know the FESL, they know our priority learners, they live it and they act on it. And I'm just so proud to be part of a team that can actually just share these stories. So my job's super easy because of the collaboration of all of our team members in the district. So over to you, Woody.
And again, just thinking about the focus on team as we think about this learning journey, there's just not one suitcase that's making the trip. It's two suitcases, and they're intertwined with each other, and the operations and education side work together. A huge thank you to Brian Isley, our Secretary Treasurer, and the leadership on the operations side, our finance department, Shin Chan, the work that he's done, Tristan in facilities and maintenance, Aaron in HR, Matt in IT, and Joe in communications. They recognize, and to go back to that picture of that teacher in that classroom, it does take a team to be able to support the students successfully. And you heard themes throughout the presentation today, the work around the ideas of collaboration and intentional collaboration. Going back to the first presentation, Assistant Superintendent Marcelo Molino talked about collaboration and PLCs. PLCs are intentional actions that happen in an organized opportunity to have conversations. And it's not about necessarily the time, it's about creating a culture of the way of being in a community in terms of the work that we do. So our operations team is sitting down and saying, why are we sitting down together? What are we talking about? And how are we going to know we're going to make a difference? And at the center of that are learners. And I mean all the learners across our district, our students, our staff in each one of our buildings, to create a network that we do seamlessly across our district to make touch points on the individual seat in our classrooms, that individual story in our classrooms, so that we recognize and we share the importance that developing and nurturing the gifts of each one of our students in our school district relates directly to Every Child Matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions or comments? Okay. Vice Chair Wilson?
Hi. Wow, the graphics. They're always really good. So good job on that. I'm sure Deputy Superintendent had something to do with that, because it seems like they always go along with his reports. But yeah, I have like 3 different questions, so maybe I'll just like do one and someone else can go. At the very beginning, we saw some charts on the completion rates, and when we see the children and youth in care, that those numbers are just, I know they're improving, but they're heartbreaking. And I'm just wondering, are they accurate, or is data lost when, just due to the nature of them being more transitions between school districts? So do we know how accurate the data is?
I don't know if data is lost. I think in terms of the accuracy of the data in terms of what's shared with us from the work we do between the ministry and the school district, which around children, youth, and care. There's intricacies there that the ministry is obviously protecting students, and we're trying to protect students. So that accuracy may not be as transparent as it needs to be on a graph. That doesn't say that the work isn't going into each one of those stories critically and diligently every day in our classrooms with our support staff and our teachers and our administrators supporting those journeys. And I also think the cohort size in each one that goes through the system could vary quite drastically. So when you have maybe one or two students are not successful, that dramatically impacts that success rate. And to your point, Vice Chair Wilson, if it isn't a full, robust cohort that we see, those numbers have dramatic impacts.
Thank you. I'll save my next
Trustee Fox?
Keep going.
Okay, he'd like to go last. Vice Chair Wilson.
Okay, I feel like I'm just speaking a lot. So there were so many pieces. I was just like, oh, I want to ask a question here. So I've just limited it a bit. But for the human resources portion that we saw, and just different portions of it, I noticed we talk a lot about recruitment and retention, but it seems to be like 90% about recruitment. And so I guess I just have a couple questions about retention. And I've been hearing a lot just out in the field about there being like a 6 or 7 year kind of burnout rate, or people leaving the education field at like the 6 or 7 year mark. Is there anything we're doing specifically to target that in retention for our school system?
I'll let Aaron help me with the answer, but I think in terms of retaining staff, I think it goes back to very much the similar connection we make with our students, right? How well do we get to know our staff? How well do we get to know their story? And I think when you're in a time that there has been shortages, you don't necessarily always have the time to make those deep connections. I think the work that we've done through recruitment has put more people into the system, so we're not seeing the shortages that we would regularly see, which automatically regulates the system in a different way. And I think, when you're in a school and you are getting the staffing levels we are getting now, we've talked to many administrators, teachers, support staff, it feels different when you have a full complement of staff within your building to start the year. This year, from the time that we've worked together in HR, there was a dramatic difference in starting this year than years past. And I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a story around the strong connection people have to Langley. And it starts with that placement, whether it be a practicum placement for a support staff or a teacher, and really understanding who they are and what gifts do they bring to our district, and how do we put them in situations where they're going to be able to develop those gifts. The 6 to 7 year retention rate, my wonder is when you begin to see the recruitment strategies we put in place and the innovation we have around building in-house programs, I wonder what it's going to look like 6 or 7 years from now when we look at retention. My guess would be that we would be at higher rate than we are right now because of kind of the storm that we've kind of gone through over the last few years. We're not out of the clouds yet. We still have work to do. And what we are certainly proud of is the work we're trying to do to ensure that we are building that retention rate, and also, sitting down with our partner groups and working alongside them to try and hear from them what's happening in the field and what do we learn through those conversations that we can work together to try and impact staff in a positive way. And we don't always get it right. Learning takes patience and time. We don't always hit that mark every single time. But I think together, the relationship we have with our partner groups, there's opportunities there for us to do things differently. And we invite those opportunities because I think that's where the innovation comes in. So unified in relationships and innovative in the results that we get together trying to support staff.
Great. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Trustee Fox, and then we'll have Trustee Dickinson.
Thank you, and thanks for the presentation. My question is for Aaron, if I could.
Yeah.
So the question I have is when you go out and do the recruiting, and this kind of dovetails with Vice Chair Wilson's comment, what's the why that you can sell Langley School District? Why would I, as a new teacher, what can you offer me that other school districts don't offer that says, hey, that we're in a situation we're in this year where we're not dealing with multitudes of calls about shortage of teachers and so on. So just quickly, what's the why?
Quickly, what's the why is the relationships that we're building. So we're connecting with those people early. We're staying connected with them through the process. We're connecting with them through the relationships we've built through the post-secondary institutions. So a lot of what we're hearing from employees, that newly hired employees, is that experience they've had pre-hire.
Okay. Okay, good. So now I have a question for technology. The how. So I think it was your fourth goal, you said you were focusing on accessibility tools for priority learners. Describe to me what accessibility tool would be, any one of them, if there's multitudes of them, or is there only one? I don't know, that you could give to a classroom teacher who has an identified priority learner. Is there something that comes to your mind?
I suppose there's quite a few out in this, that we're looking for our team to build competencies around. The first one that comes to mind would be generative AI and its ability to differentiate lessons for teachers depending on the students in their classroom. So that tool would really improve the accessibility of the lesson or the content to each individual student at their level that they're at in an individual classroom.
Oh, it's very student focused in terms of its.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Well, no, that's great. I mean, if you can identify a student and use something in that context, then obviously that's a learning tool that will help the teacher in delivering that program. Good. Okay. Now I have one for Joe. Okay, Joe. So we sit here as trustees. I sat in the education system for years. Ministry of Education is only interested in data. You tell stories. How do we get the Ministry of Education to understand that it's the stories of the learners and the adaptations and the functionality of that goes on that are really critical to understanding the system as a whole, rather than just looking at data? How do you get the ministry to buy into stories?
Why did I get the hardest question?
Well, no, it's not the hardest question. It's actually the easiest question, because I'll tell you why. Read the story in the back of the FESL. It's an easy story for me to tell because I started the hairdressing program 20 years ago. So that's an important piece to a story, and the ministry is only interested primarily in data. They've got every school district's got to produce a FESL, and I think the stories are as valuable as the data in a lot of cases.
Right. I think the good thing about this district is that we do both. And even in communications, I collect my own data and share stories. For example, and Ms. Kendra Simonetto, she's part of this too. Last year's FESL and this year's FESL, there's a lot of stories that are directly connected that we do in the district that are connected to the FESL, and we'll continue that. And I'm counting that as well. So like in communications, we have our own stories and data. How can I get that across to the Minister of Education? I guess the most important part is just raising awareness and spreading and sharing our stories widely to get the minister's attention. I'd like to think that among the districts in the province, people know that we are good at sharing stories. In fact, I will say that there are some districts that kind of copy what we do. I'm not going to name names, but And we will continue to do that. And I think it's important to also be innovative as well and not just have, stale content. But I think the important part, as you said, yeah, it isn't the data. It is, as we've mentioned in the theme, Woody has, and Assistant Superintendent Muino has mentioned, it is truly that individual student story. Um, and 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 using that emotion piece through story to get at all of our audiences, including the minister. And like I said, I think our staff do a good job of bringing that to the table, and my job's really easy in just presenting it to everyone. So that's probably not the answer that you'd like to hear, but I really do feel that when we do these stories, it's a snapshot, but it really is a symbol and representative about like of all the work that we do. Like I said, HD Stafford was that video, but I could make a story like that in all 46 one of our schools, plus all the extra programs that we have in our district, um, you know, choice programs and the school-based programs and all those things. Operations is such a big part of that. So I hope that you ask me that same question next year, and I'll
Okay.
hopefully have a better answer.
You actually, Joe, you couldn't have a better answer. Your answer was outstanding. I think we have to keep the stories alive. And you mentioned one word in that context of your response that touched me, and that was the emotional component. If we just measure data, we don't ever mention the emotional component. And that's a huge part of why we're teachers and what teachers do on a daily basis. So I think you hit on it right there. There you go. I give them all great grades.
Any other trustees have any questions? Trustee Dickens.
So I have a quick one. So a key component of getting towards our goal of having an increase in graduation for our priority learners is having the support of SEAs. And we know that there's a bit of an issue right now with being able to hire and retain SEAs. And I'm just wondering what the district is doing to try to alleviate some of the pressures there from not having enough support staff.
Yeah, I think, I mean, obviously, working with 1260 and having conversations about things that we can do together is going to be an important piece of that. I think, again, the partnership is critical in what we do. And then I think continuing to build on the supports we have in place. And Aaron mentioned a few of the things that we're trying to do in-house, but I think expanding that as well. I think KPU and other post-secondary institutions that we can work alongside with to say, like, how do we actually partner in a really innovative way, different ways than maybe we've done things in the past, and provide opportunities for people that is a clear partnership between Langley and whoever wants to engage in that conversation with us. We've already started down that road, trying to engage in conversations and just started testing the waters in terms of seeing what this is going to look like, almost like a point of inquiry of what this might look like, because we know our support staff are critical for supporting students in our schools and supporting our staff. So we value the work that's done by each and every one of our support staff. So again, trying to create the conditions in-house for them to feel that sense of connection and belonging. And going back to what Trustee Wilson said, with that in place, increasing the retention around that. And we've seen it, and we've done it in a way on our teacher side that we've seen lots of success. Our instructional services department, learning support services, student support services, and Indigenous education provides things like setting up for success in the summertime, where those teachers that are new or those teachers that want to refresh some experiences engage in those conversations in August. And it's a fabulous way to start off the year for many of our teachers. And we need to start thinking the same way around our support staff of how we open those doors for them. And then when we get teachers into our system, the onboarding process we go through, making sure that we're providing experiences for them, that they are not going to just be supported through a process of now you're hired, but more of how do we support you on that journey all the way through. And the same goes for our support staff. It's complex work. it's hard work, and we have to continue to try and think innovatively how to support it, because when we want people around the province saying, where do I want to go to work? I want to go to work here. And at the heart of that conversation, to Joe's point, is the relationship. And as Aaron said, the relationship is key to it. If I was to if I was to paint the picture, the innovation piece has to be what we need to do around support staff, like we've done with our teaching staff, and continue to think differently.
Thank you.
If I could just roll the credits a little bit on the presentation, because there's things that I just want to mention a few people. Kendra Simonetta, our Director of Instruction, has been the person in the background putting this document together. And I want to acknowledge the work she's done. 15 pages within that document and about 42 links within that document of different stories and information. And that is a ton of work that's been done. Claire Pereira, our executive assistant, helping put the finishing touches on that document, brings it to life and just encompasses who we are as a district and what we do. Mike Pugh, who is now the principal of Walnut Grove, helped us with the data collection, and we'll continue to look at how we develop that as a team. And just the assistant soups, the work they do on the education side, the directors I mentioned, and the leadership team on the operations side, it's a full team effort to be able to be successful. So I feel fortunate enough to be able to present it with the team tonight, and it's a collective effort in terms of what we're trying to do, support the framework to make that connection between the strategic plans and the action plans to support every learner.
Thank you. Any other trustees have any questions? No? Okay. Could I please have a mover that, sorry, I just skipped ahead here in my agenda, that the Board of Education approves the 2025-2026 framework for enhancing student learning as presented. Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Vice Chair Wilson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to take a quick, like 1.5 minute break if anybody else needs to take a quick break, and really quick though. So don't go away, trustees, unless you need to. That's 7.3, school startup. I will pass this back to you, Superintendent Gill.
Thank you, Chair. We have the Assistant Superintendent Molino who's going to provide a brief overview of our startup, and I'll leave it to him.
Put your mic on, please.
How about that? School startup. Something that we expect in September. Again, almost 27,000 students returning to schools in Langley this past September. But again, I think startup really is a misnomer. What the work that happens in Langley, the growing, the learning, the doing, it really is a year-round endeavor. And I just want to repeat one of the themes of this presentation, or all the presentations you've heard so far. It's just team. Everything that we do in this district has one very simple purpose. It's to have impact on students, on their learning, and the opportunities that they have. And so with that, let's jump into it. So growth and learning in School District 35. There's a picture of Josette Dandurand Elementary, which just opened in September. So a little bit about a summer of builds. We had quite a bit of that happening this summer. The new Josette Dandurand Elementary has a capacity of 555 students and 23 classrooms. Right now it's opening with 20 divisions, including 6 at kindergarten, and approximately 450 students. And again, when we talk about team, to ensure that students had the right experience on that very first day, construction staff, school staff, they just showed up over the weekend to ensure, the long weekend, to ensure that school would be ready for students on that Labor Day long weekend. A few different pictures from Josette Dandurand Elementary. A Nicomeckle Elementary had a modular that was built. 8 modular classrooms were added. It added a capacity of 200 students to the school. And for September 2025, there were 22 divisions and again, more than 450 students at Nicomeckle. A few pictures of the Nicomeckle modular. Lynn Fripps had its own summer build story. 6 modular classrooms were added at Lynn Fripps, as well as office space and bathrooms. It added capacity of 150 students to the school's overall capacity, with 27 divisions and 580 students starting on the very first day of school in September. A few pictures of the Lynn Fripps modular. Peter Ewart, as you may be aware, has been going through a seismic work over the last several years, and the work now is coming to a close with deficiencies being worked on. There will be increased capacity at the school. With all the added capacity throughout the Langley School District, there have been a movement of 20 existing and new portables to all of the elementary, middle, and secondary schools you see there, as well as to James Anderson. So enough of summer of builds. What about summer session? Summer session is another example of how learning continues beyond just the traditional September to June. In terms of popularity, we know summer session runs for 5 weeks, and almost half of what used to be 45 sites in the summer, now 46 in September, were used. And again, more than 250 staff a part of that directly in the schools at summer session. Summer session included pre-K, elementary, middle, and secondary age students, with more than 4,200 students in all summer programs participating in Langley. In terms of September enrollment, just a quick update. Again, that's part of the September story. At the end of June, there were about 450 more students than in September 2024. And of course, over the summer, there were an additional 380 plus new enrollments. We're still unclear in terms of students who have left or leaving, and we're collecting that information now, working with families. There will be a clear picture in terms of what enrollment is at the end of September. The startup story includes the Ministry of Education and Childcare sharing its priorities with school districts. A few that they emphasized in August meetings that I was a part of. Developing literacy screening in kindergarten and early literacy interventions. Expediting certification for new and experienced domestic and international teachers. Supportive childcare within schools where possible. Improving student outcomes for all students, especially vulnerable children and youth, through the lens of the FESL, which you just heard all about. And continued investments in cybersecurity and networks. There's that cybersecurity word again. And finally, investing in more modular projects to expedite the growth that's happening in various districts, again, Langley being one of them. One specific initiative that has already begun its work in terms of impacting schools is the unexpected health emergencies, and specifically focusing on naloxone and AEDs. The ministry has required that secondary plans and implementation occur by December 31st, 2025, and we have a team at the district who is working on those plans as we speak. Elementary and middle plans will be implemented a little bit later, September 2026. Again, more information to come at a future board meeting. And so, again, startup, as you've heard, it's about team, it's about the district coming together, and it's also about story. And again, you've heard how I think this district does tell its stories well. And so incredibly important for us to share with you at least a couple of stories and examples that I think encapsulate all of the work that you will have heard in the superintendent's report so far this evening. And so first off, again, a reminder, every child matters. But again, some questions. How do we know when a school and a system are ensouled? And every child truly does matter, where every child is humanized. And again, it's more than just a system. How do we know when the ideals of the strategic plan and the FESL are made real in the day-to-day work that we do? How do we know that? And again, we know that through story. I'd like to start by telling you a story from summer session. One question is, what happens when a student is not able to communicate their basic needs and wants, at least not in a way that the adults understand? Well, in the Langley School District, what we do is we take the time to create opportunities so that those students can learn to communicate in a way that the adults will understand. And the impacts are so incredibly powerful. And so Communications Partner Program has run the last 2 summers. Again, the district recognizing a need. It's a 2-week program and it's dedicated to students with communication needs. And here's the key. The work is making a difference. It provides significant evidence that increased language and communication decreases challenging behaviors, elopement, and dysregulation. And again, a shout out to the team who led this. And again, the team is wider than just the names that we see on the PowerPoint. But at the end of the day, again, this is work that creates opportunities and engagement and connection for students. Because again, the opposite question can be asked, what happens again when a student can't or is unable to communicate in a way that the adults understand? That's not the system that we choose to work in Langley. Instead, we choose to solve and create a system where the adults are responsive to the needs of the students. A second story, or second example, is a transition story. I just want to read out, change is an event, but a transition is the process that you go through in response to the change. Every year in June, the event is 27,000 students in the Langley School District who leave one grade and go to the next. They leave one class and go to the next. But the transition is the process that staff go through to ensure that that is not just a change, but it's a successful transition. And so one example I'll give you, a grade 5 student going from an elementary school to a middle school in this district. The 2 schools spent dozens of hours on transition just on this one student alone, and hundreds of hours of transition on all their students. In terms of the transitions for this one student, the receiving school, the middle school, learned that this student is a complex learner, a priority learner, a student with complex needs. One of the interesting details on this student is that the student loves to climb. And so lo and behold, in September, it's the second week, and the vice principal is walking down the hallway and sees this new grade 6 student on a locker. Okay, not just a locker, but a locker that's quite high, about 6 feet high, lying down on the locker. And the first thing the vice principal thinks is, that's probably not safe. I think I need to do something about that. The second thing the vice principal then says as they approach the student is, this is a grade 6 student. I remember the transition meetings. I remember this student likes music. So then the vice principal, rather than, again, this is a story of two pathways. A story of one where we have the traditional model of the system wins, and sometimes students are hurt in the process. Or we have the other one where the school and the system are ensouled, that the student is seen as a human being first, with wants, with needs, with the story. So the vice principal then says, I choose the latter path. Hey, I heard you like music. I do. Well, what are you doing up there? I'm listening to music. No way. What are you listening to? Oh, music that I wrote. Music that the student wrote. Really? Can I hear it? Sure, the student said. The student jumped off the locker and said, want to listen? And the vice principal said, wow. And the vice principal then along the way learned that this student has challenges and incredible gifts. This student is self-taught in terms of playing the piano, is self-taught in terms of playing several other instruments. And the student really did write that song. And in fact, 25 others as well, just in the last couple of years. So an example, a story of how when we ensoul our schools, when we focus on student story, when we work as a team, when the work of the FESL and the strategic plan come to life, it makes a difference in that student's trajectory. Because now for the next 3 years in that middle school, that vice principal and that student have a connection, a story that they can always lean back on when things get rough, because they will, right? We know that. And so with that, I'm wanting to know if you have any questions.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions or comments? No? Well, thank you very much for the presentation, Marcello. Great. So could I please have a mover that the Board of Education receives the report on school startup for information as presented? Moved by Trustee Rise, seconded by Trustee Fox. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Moving on to number 8 on our agenda, Secretary Treasurer's reports. 8.1, 5-year capital plan, minor capital programs, 2026-2027. Secretary Treasurer Isley.
Thank you, Chair. Trustees will recall we are now required to submit our capital plan in 2 stages. The first stage was approved and submitted in June, which encompassed the major portion of our capital plan, and the requirement is to submit the minor capital by the end of this month. The draft was shared with trustees at the Finance Facilities meeting earlier this month, and the final proposal from staff is in your package. And on the screen, just a summary of that proposal. The SEP, that's the School Enhancement Program. The big ask there from the ministry is the retaining wall of one side of Brookswood is getting old and needs to be replaced. The estimate on that is just over $1.1 million. Trustees will recall that we did do some Cat 6A wiring at a bunch of schools in last year's plan that we're in the process of doing now. And there we've listed the next set of schools that are required for that for the school enhancement plan. Also for the carbon neutral plan, the CNCP, the second phase of the boiler upgrade for Douglas Park is being requested. And then we have 4 schools for the capital portion of the Feeding Futures program, the FIPS program, to do upgrades at schools for the feeding programs in West Langley, Vanguard, Aldergrove, and Langley Secondary. Also continue to ask for the universally accessible playgrounds with Simons, James Hill, and Alice Brown. And you'll notice there are no dollar amounts for those or the additional bus, as those are amounts that are given to us by the ministry if those projects are approved. And with the bus, that's a procurement process that the ministry does on our behalf. So we are asking for an additional wheelchair, a bus for the growth that we're seeing in that area. So that would be an additional route. So that's the proposal from staff that we're hoping trustees will approve at tonight's meeting. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Trustees, do you have any questions? No? No questions or comments? No? Oh, Trustee Fox.
Yeah, just a question through you to Secretary Treasurer. Somebody asked me this question. Do we have any school or school modulars or anything with poly B piping? It's the poly B piping scenario. I don't know, but someone asked me that and I thought, I don't think so, because our staff would have probably replaced it already.
Not that I'm aware of.
No? Okay, that's fine. I can give that answer.
All right, trustees, any other questions? No? Okay, could I please have a mover that in accordance with provisions under section 142(4) of the School Act, the Board of Education of School District Number 35, Langley, hereby approves the proposed capital plan, minor capital programs for 2026-2027, as provided on the capital plan summary for 2026-2027, submitted to the Ministry of Education and Childcare. Do I have a mover? Moved by Trustee Dickinson, seconded by Trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're moving along to 9, Audit Committee. Our first agenda item is 9.1, approval of audited 2024-2025 financial statements. I'm going to pass this over to Trustee Fox, who is on the Audit Committee, to make the motion, and then I will take the chair back.
This is going to be a bit of back and forth. Okay, it's a pleasure to do the Audit Committee once again. Don't laugh, Shin. It's fun. So I would like to move that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley approves the 2024-2025 audited financial statements and requests staff to submit them to the Ministry of Education and Childcare.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Vice Chair Wilson. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Right. Moving along now to 9.2, financial statement discussion and analysis. I will give this back to you, Trustee Fox.
Thank you, Chair. That the Board of Education, I so move that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley approves the financial statement discussion and analysis, the FSD&A, be included with the 2024-2025 financial statements.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Trustee Ward. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Now we are on 9.3, surplus restrictions. I will pass this back to you, Trustee Fox.
Thank you, Chair. I move that the Board of Education of School District Number 35 Langley approves the following internally restricted surplus amounts as described in Note 12 of the 2024-2025 audited financial statements. Internally restricted for commitment 2024-2025 for $2,867,969. Internally restricted for initiatives not completed in 2024-2025, $119,000. Internally restricted for Indigenous education, for $107,814. Internally restricted for administration supports for $400,000. Internally restricted for clerical supports for $100,000. Internally restricted for exempt mentorship for $40,000. Internally restricted for middle school initiatives for K-7 schools for $20,000. Internally restricted for accessible playground equipment for $400,000. School generated funds for $2,934,601. Internally restricted to balance future budgets, $3,151,648. Internally restricted for student capacity needs, $3,687,331. School surpluses, $392,071. Internally restricted for classroom furniture for $400,000. Internally restricted for ERP replacement for $1,300,000. Internally restricted for project management costs for Smith Hill Secondary for $300,000. Internally restricted for cybersecurity for $145,000. Internally restricted for facility upgrades for $500,000. I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by trustee Rye. And thank you for that, making that long motion. That was nice. I didn't have to make that or read it out. Any discussion on the motion, trustees? Vice Chair Wilson.
Yeah, sorry. I know Secretary Treasurer Isley can probably just give us a quick breakdown because we discuss these things a lot in, finance and facilities and different meetings. And so it feels like for us, we've already had lots of discussion on it, but I understand that the public might have some questions. And just, it looked like where all of the districts were coming up short and having to make lots of cuts. And we seem to be on a road where, our future budget amount was dwindling down and we were looking like we might be in that same scenario. But now if you look on internally restricted to balance future budgets, we have the 3 million. So do you just want to go through a little bit of like, how did we come to this? Just a short,
Sorry, can you define what you mean by this?
like having this, we were going to be draining it down and looked like we were, not going to be able to put as much in there. And now it seems like maybe I'm just mistaken into what it looked like last year compared to what it is.
Right. So every year we use accumulated surplus on one-time items. We also try to make sure we have some money for portable needs and balance in a budget, as a lot of that is portables because we have to fund those. We do a 3-year financial plan, which showed that we would deplete them. Even with this, it gets tight in our year 3 of that 3-year plan. So this add to some of these things came from funds where we finished better in the 24-25 school year than we budgeted. So it created some surplus money that we could reallocate back to future needs.
Great, thanks.
Thank you. Any other trustees have any questions? No? Okay. All right. Could I please, actually we've already moved the motion. We have it seconded. So I just need a show of hands, please, for all those in favor. Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. I just want to do a quick shout out to the trustees and staff as well on this committee because I know, so that's trustee Fox, trustee Ward, and Vice Chair Wilson, because I know the agenda packages for your audit committee can be quite large and it's a lot of work and it's a very important committee. And I remember when I was first elected back in 2011, our board at the time decided that this was something we needed to do and bring this committee forward. And it's important work. I know it can be probably very boring sometimes when you're reading all of the numbers, but incredibly important. So I just wanted to thank you all for your hard work, seriously, and staff as well. Yeah. Trustee Fox?
Yeah, if I could just add to that, on the audit committee, we also meet with the auditors. And I can't say enough about how complimentary the auditors were in working with our staff under Shind and Ryan, and how they were very appreciative of the preparation that was done, the work that the questions they asked, the material they asked for was provided expediently. And so they came to us with a very positive message and a very positive, like, as they use the word clean audit, that's their term they used. So thanks to our staff for the work they do with our auditors.
Thank you. All right, we're moving along to 9.4 interfund transfers, and I will pass this back to you.
Okay, that I move that the Board of Education School District number 35 Langley approves the transfer of $158,184 from the Special Purpose Fund and $6,298,585 from the Operating Fund to the Capital Fund as described in Note 13 of the 2024-2025 audited financial statements. So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Trustee Dickinson. Any discussion on the motion? See no discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, Trustee Fox. All right, now we're moving along to new business. And I'm going to pass this back to you, Trustee Fox, again, because you have a motion that you've passed along to trustees that you'd like to make.
Thank you. So I have a motion that I'd like to move on a new, it's relative to a new school build for Southwest Latimer. So whereas the school district, Langley School District number 35 has now completed 3 modular structure additions to existing schools in the fast growing areas of our school district. And whereas each of the 3 additions has come in on time and on budget, and whereas the construction timeline and construction costs from design to completion have been significantly less than a conventional build model, and whereas the need for new school facilities in fast growing school district continues to be evident and a significant need, and the Ministry of Infrastructure has identified in legislation a need to expedite critically important building projects. And whereas the Langley School District presently owns the property for the Southwest Latimer school site, therefore I move that the School Board of Trustees along with senior management in attendance request a face-to-face meeting, this may be virtual, with Minister Ma, the Minister of Infrastructure, to present and advocate for a proposal to complete a pilot project of a fully functional 555 student modular elementary school build on the property designated as a Southwest Latimer school site. I so move.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Trustee Dickinson. Any discussion or questions on the motion? Yeah. Oh, sorry. I should have passed it back to
you. Assistant Superintendent Molino just mentioned and just alluded to the fact that one of the bullet points on your presentation was infrastructure builds. We saw in our capital presentation from Secretary Treasurer Isley the 2 new builds we had this year. I think our staff have proven beyond reason of a doubt that this model is a model that we can work with our providers, we can work with our communities, we can design schools that can be modular, that can work in our school to deal with our fast growing community. I know I was actually informed at the Metro meeting, which I attended just the other day, that there actually are modular schools in the province, but they're Francophone schools. The Francophone school district has one in Smithers and another one in the Kootenays. But I think our modular schools would be dealt differently with the context of a modular school build with potential to revert to a community center style operation once that school was deemed to be finished its life. So I think that this is something we need to do. I think we need to accept the challenge from the minister both ministers, education and infrastructure, and I think we need to move this along. And we need to be the first and leading the way, just as we've done with our modular additions.
Thank you, Trustee Fox. Trustee Ward.
I appreciate Trustee Fox bringing this motion forward. I don't think it will be without its challenges. I imagine from a design perspective, even if there's francophone schools, I'll definitely support the motion because I think it advances the conversation and it also supports innovation. We do have the 3 modular buildings. All of them we've been told have their unique features. So this is not something that can't be done. But of course, these are modular buildings that are adjacent to existing schools. So the conversation will be great, whether or not it materializes to a this particular build. But I imagine in the future it will happen, whether it's not this one. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm glad to support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Wilson.
Yeah, I am also in support of this motion. I feel we have a real need and a shortage, and if this is, a way that we can resolve that, then absolutely. I just have a quick question about the lifespan. Do we know what the lifespan of modular buildings is, comparatively?
40 to 50 years is what they've been quoted.
Thank you.
Any other trustees have any questions or no? I just want to thank you. I'll be supporting this as well. Thank you for bringing this forward, Trustee Fox. These modulars, as we've seen, go up much quicker. They're climate controlled. They are accessible. The cost is significantly less. I would hope still on something like a whole school, if it's possible, and I understand that it is. But I would hope that it would still be significantly less. And so I'd love to continue the conversation and possibly continue to be the district that we are and getting ahead of things. And if we could be the first in the province, I don't believe there's another full, even the francophone schools, are they full schools, Trustee Fox, or? Yeah, okay. So go Langley, let's try. So yeah, okay, so any other discussion? Nope. So can I please have a show of hands for those who are in favor of the motion? Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving along to trustee work reports. We're just getting back here in September, so I would imagine we don't have too much, but would trustees, maybe I'll just have a show of hands if there's anybody who would like to share rather than put you on the spot. Yeah, Trustee Ward.
Not particularly a work report, but I am just going to do a bit of a trustee comment. I just wanted to say welcome back to all our students, 27,000, incredible. Did do the Terry Fox run and our walk, and I know a lot of schools supported that, so that was just recent, and thank you.
Vice Chair Wilson.
Yeah, since he broke the rule and it wasn't a report, I feel that I can also have a comment. I just want to thank our delegations that came earlier tonight. I know that sometimes we don't all get a chance because the meetings are so packed, but it was amazing to watch the Benachuk Farm Agri Kids. That is such an amazing program, and I'm so happy that all those people are getting food and that's happening. And the violin program as well. I thought that was a great presentation, and the video was so moving, and congrats to those kids, and what a great, moving experience that was. So thank you to those presenters tonight.
Thank you. Any other trustees? Trustee Fox?
Yeah, I've said a lot tonight, sorry. I did attend a BCSDA Metro Branch meeting last week, and I just want to make it clear, I don't get paid to go to those, okay? Not like some people, I don't get $568 a meeting, sorry. I in Delta. Anyway, It was interesting. I only say this, and I'm not going to go into specifics, but it's interesting when we talk about, again, Assistant Superintendent Mouino talked about the numbers of new students, and I'm sitting beside Bob Holmes from Surrey, and they're down considerably in their student numbers, and a lot of districts in Metro Vancouver are looking at below projection, below negative growth, or very static growth, which is interesting coming forward in the discussions that we had at the meeting, because it changes the whole dynamic. So it seems to be something that's across the board and in our metro area. So anyway, that's all. Lots of other topics, but that's for another day.
All right, thank you, Trustee Fox. Anybody else? Are we? All right. So we're moving on to question period. Bear with me for a minute as I read this out. Question period is provided at board meetings. The purpose is to ensure that those present in the audience have an opportunity to obtain clarification concerning business conducted during that meeting. Priority will be given to responding to one question per person before considering further questions from any individual. The following will help the public develop questions for question period at a board meeting that is keeping with the goal of a respectful and focused meeting. Questions need to be directed to the chair and not to staff, need to be related directly to the topic on the agenda, need to be succinct, focused, and not be a statement, may not be asked that are related to personnel or directed at an individual trustee, may not be asked that are related to contract negotiations, and the questioner shall provide their name so that it can be reflected in the minutes. All of the above are directions provided for in board policy number 7, board operations. The chair may answer, may defer to staff, or indicate a question may not be in keeping with the above guidelines. The board appreciates the public's interest and wants to ensure a professional meeting is conducted with question period focused on providing guests with the clarification they seek. Trustees also welcome questions from members of the public. Apart from question period, our contact information is available on the school district website. And now, do I have any questions? I don't see anybody. All right. Okay. So, trustees, could I please have a mover that the meeting be adjourned at 9:18 p.m. Trustee Ward had his hand up first, and seconded by Vice Chair Wilson. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.